So what do you think of my new custom exhaust? I'm going to start a new trend. Smaller.
Good morning. Today we're going to dedicate our video to one of our viewers named Dylan. I understand, Dylan, that you're working with your dad trying to remodel a Camaro like I am helping my son with our Camaro, make that his Camaro. But I also know you have an LS engine over there in the garage, like we have. Is there any chance, since I'm getting old and forgetting things, that you can help me with this? You can go on your video to the engine and count the cylinders for me, so I know how many we have in our engine. Think you can do that for us? Looking forward, Dylan, to helping us out. Have a great day.
Nicely done. And good morning, everyone. It's Asa, Eric, and Pops, as you can tell. Yeah, Dylan is 5 years old, so he can count better than Pops.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
All right. Okay, what are we doing today?
Probably paint the two wheel wells on the outside of the top, black.
Yep.
And then continuing our installation of stuff for the firewall.
We'll see.
Maybe you can get to the tracking engine and shove it in again. No.
Probably not.
Okay.
If we're probably painting, then that's it, because once we paint, we can't do anything else. Or we save paint till the end.
Yeah, can we home by 11? Cool.
Maybe not. Depends how fast you can wet sand. How fast can you sand?
Oh, not wet sand.
Wet sand.
Yeah, okay.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, after much bloviation and deliberation, we decided we're going to work on the clutch stuff today. So I hopefully have all the parts I need to do this. I got the AN to quick connect adapter for this and a bleeder line for this. So we're going to try and see if I can get a wrench down in there, make sure this guy is tight first of all, and then hopefully we'll be able to get a wrench in there to tighten the bleeder screw adapter in there. I don't know, that'll be tough. And if we can't do that, then we have to pop the transmission off, which I really don't want to do. But let's see where we end up. All right, here's the bleeder screw that was on there. This is what we're going to replace it. Well, part of what we're going to replace it with. So this goes into the throwout bearing here. It's got an AN on the other side. So this is a corresponding part here. So 10 millimeter by 1.5 to AN3. And then that guy is going to connect to standard AN brake line kind of dealio here. And then on the other end, we have an AN to a bleeder screw, and then finally a bleeder screw. If that all works, but we have to feed this down inside the transmission. So we got these crowfoot dudes. I have no idea if this is going to work, so we're going to tape that thing on there and try and squeeze it down in there. So ideally, we would have done this before we put the transmission together, but I didn't know about all this stuff back then, so wish us luck.
Nicest days we had.
It's windy, but nice, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be 40 mile an hour winds tonight.
All right, so this guy, yeah, please do. This won't fit down inside the transmission. We can't get it in there. So we're going to try putting this guy on first with a socket, and then hopefully, wrong one, we'll be able to feed this down in there and tighten it. So we're going to give that a try. All right, old trick from way back in the day. Put some tape on this guy so when you jam it down in there, it doesn't fall out. Well, none of the tools we had would work, so we had about given up. I went digging through my toolbox and I found these guys. I can't remember what these are for. This is some random tool that came with something, I don't know, but that guy is 1/2 inch right there. So I just bent it over and you can feed the line through it, and I got that down inside there and torqued it down. I think we're good. Sweet!
Yes, it is.
So at least I think it's tight. Oh, damn it. Doesn't seem to want to move, so I think that's good. And here's the quick connect fitting to AN4. Hopefully I check that and make sure that's an AN4 on the hose. I think it is. I've never used one of these things before, but allegedly it just goes into that hole there somehow. Or not. Don't know how that works. Have to investigate that. All right, there we go. It seems awful flimsy, but it's in there.
That line is called what now?
This is the pressure line from the master cylinder. So that connects to our master cylinder, our new one. And then the other one's the bleed line. All right, before we seal all of this up, I'm gonna take some measurements. So from here to here, 0.611, 15.5, 15 and a half millimeters, something like that. If I got that right, I used a straight edge here to try and line that up to the end of the shaft. I think that's correct. Get that in there. Hey, hold on. Can't really get in there to measure that, so I'm just going to assume that's standard on a T56, whatever that is, teeth-wise, etc. So we got a plug for it. Down there, I'll tape that in place, and then we're going to fill it up with fluid. So in the meantime here, we put on the cats, hooked up all the remaining wires that were loose. So this thing's about ready to go back under the car. The only thing I have left is I have to make a harness for the reverse lockouts and all this stuff. I'm going to get one of those little speed sensor boxes to drive the reverse lockout here. I think this is the reverse lockout. Pretty sure it is. So we can't put everything together today, but we'll have it pretty close, ready to go. So it's got all the parts on it. So after almost 3 years, finally got it. So that was just about exactly 3.5 quarts. I didn't measure it quite. So we got all that done. And then Pops and I were looking at this thing, and I don't see any way in heck how fluid can come draining out of here based on where that fluid level is, because it's right here. So maybe it's just, you know, once the thing's running, it's pushing fluid up in there with the oil pump or whatever you call it on this thing. Because that's way higher than that. So I mean, it'd have to be tilted pretty far back. But maybe, like I said, once it's running, there's ATF that gets stuck up in there or something. But anyway, I don't think it's going anywhere. All right. Now what? We done? Move on to painting now?
Well, we got to cover this guy
Right.
for the painting, yeah. Looks good.
Okay.
This is trash.
That's trash, yeah. So we need to get some wire ties and pull these things up because these cables are redunculously long. So get all those up and out of the way so that they're not laying on the cats. I didn't mention before, we got the O2 sensors on and everything. So yeah. All right. So we'll bag this thing up and get ready for paint.
you. That's a little trashy, but not too bad. It's gonna be all right. What? Yeah. I think it'll be okay. Remember, this is gonna dry to a satin black. So, take that flash off, do another coat.
All right, it's been about 3 hours or so. Stuff's still not completely dry, but pretty good. I don't think I mentioned this in the video, but I did this to match the cowl up front. So everything else will be red back here, but that inside part will got the satin black. I think it'll be a little bit more dull than this when it's done. Like this stuff over here, it's almost dry, but not quite. You see it's still a little shiny in some places. So hopefully this will all even out to a nice uniform sheen. So you can see we definitely got some crap in it. Which is unfortunate, especially this spot right here. That's like when you open the hood, that's what you're going to be looking at right there, and there's a bit of garbage in it. But that's what it does. What can I do? This one came out real nice. It's not so much trash in this one, I don't think. Yeah, it's still wet right there. Be careful. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with how this came out. Looks very good. A little fisheye right there. How about that? That's okay, because this part here is under the fender. You can't see it, so that's all right. Good, good, good. All right, that's going to do it. We will pick it up on the next one. Next time, hopefully, we should be reassembling. So put the front of the car back on, the subframe and all that, and then we can mount these guys up. And start thinking about the wiring harnesses and all that stuff. Very cool. I forgot to mention we put the starter on there today too. So, which brings up a question: if anybody's still watching this late in the game, I want to crank the engine oil and check for oil pressure. This guy's got one of the 3-wire oil pressure senders on it. Is there an easy way on this with a test light or something to check if the oil pressure's good or not, or do I have to hook up a gauge to it? Or alternatively, we've thought about putting power on the ECM and everything, and then hooking up the ODB2 sensor, and then look for the oil pressure that way. But let me know what you think. Looks like a lot of fluid in there, but it's not leaking, so it's good. It's good. All right, everybody, thank you very much. Give me a holler if you see anything that didn't look right. If you have any questions, or if I messed something up, let me know now. All right, coolio. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good, excuse me, catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.